Hey, what it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder, checking back in with another edition of History You May Not Know and information that is relevant to us for sure. Today's lesson will be taking place in Thibodaux, Louisiana. The reason why this topic is so dear to our heart because it goes over the agriculture crisis that was exhibiting in America post-Civil War. This era was so pivotal in this part in Louisiana's history because this was the bloodiest Labor Day in Louisiana post the Civil War during that era. One thing that was so unique about this time was that black farm workers were living in there getting meager and below average wages. So they attempted to perform a union and demand that you pay a reasonable living wage. They were paid 42 cents a day when the average cost of living was 91 cents a day. These black male workers were taking care of their families on below average salaries and were permitted from living the American dream, which is being fruitful and organized. One thing that was powerful immediately as you began to do the research of this topic and discuss what was going on here is that they were required to work 12-hour shifts on 42 cents a day. They were required to live off the property and live on that land and work it. That was part of a stipend or research clause. One thing that was really extreme was that when the black sugarcane workers threatened to stop working, they pulled their labor and said, hey, if I don't get cash for higher wages, I will not do this job. I will get my union rights and I will stop coming to work. The whites in this area heard this talk, and instead of adhering to the grievances, coming up with a compromising deal, maybe listening what these black farm workers that were working their plantation decided to do, instead, they decided to kill them. Let that marinate for a moment. If you have a work dispute, I hear your work dispute. Instead of having a conflict resolution thing going on at this time in America's history, you decide to just kill your workforce. All the sharecroppers were literally threatened, murdered, shot down, or executed, all buried in mass graves. The family members of these individuals at this time still to this day do not know where they were buried. The unmarked graves and the bodies were just thrown into grave sites buried against their wills. Not only did it damage the town tremendously, it hurt the people and the plantation owners at that time. So the lack of business foresight was inevitable. They didn't see that if I cut my labor force in half, I have nobody to work it. So this was such a bloody day because literally going against their workers' rights and saying I need a reliable living wage. In this town inside Louisiana, they just killed each other. It was such a damning situation that happened in 1887 that literally another workforce strike did not happen until 50 years after that happened in the 1930s. This uprooted a whole generation of men, leadership stories, families, just gone. All prevented, and gone from that time. The reason why it's such a big deal, and I think we should know and remember these type of events, is that we must know when we see how towns are formed now and how they're looked and viewed upon, we see why they still struggle. The spirit of that type of energy festers and we see no growth. It's your boy King Crowder checking out with a brief lesson on Thibodaux, Louisiana. I think you definitely should research this more because it was the first time we saw a labor dispute, saw mass graves being executed from it. Peace.